Hello, I am Chef Marcus Guiliano, and I am a chef on a mission. ChefOnAmission.com and TruthinMenu.com. TruthinMenu.com is my new website that I'm building, that I'm revealing and educating and calling people out that aren't quite being forthcoming on their menus. By law, as a consumer, you have the right to know. If you ask questions of where your food's coming from, the restaurant might not know exactly, but for them to purposely mislabel or to fabricate or to exaggerate or downright lie in most cases is illegal. There's consequences for that. And if you want to know what's in a food or how it's cooked, the restaurant cannot mislead you and say that something's grilled or that it's not fried in a deep fry or not fried when it's actually cooked and put in a pan with a lot of oil and basically fried in a pan. So you have every right to know. So this was my very first experience with something that was mislabeled, and I wasn't a customer at the restaurant, but I was when I lived in Colorado Springs in the 90s. I lived there in the early 90s, mid 90s, and all the way through to the late 90s up until 2000, 2001 almost. I was involved in all the chef organizations or restaurant groups out there. I was networking a lot. I was a partner in a restaurant out there that really specialized in a lot of seafood. We had our seafood flown in from Boston 2-3 days a week, and I could call Boston first thing in the morning in Colorado, which was like 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and they'd get it on the plane in Denver, in Boston. We'd go to Denver and be in Colorado Springs by 5 o'clock, same day service. It was amazing. And I worked with a phenomenal seafood vendor there that really educated me on where seafood was from, how it was caught, and really the whole ins and outs of high quality seafood. So as I'm in this chef group, I'm speaking to the chef at a place called the Sunbird Restaurant, which is a specialty restaurant. Let's see who they're owned by. They're owned by Specialty Restaurants Corporation. Specialty Restaurants Corporation. And the Sunbird it sits in Colorado Springs off of I-25. If anybody's ever been there, it sits up on the mountain or up on the hill, overlooking the city. Beautiful view, beautiful restaurant. And us chefs, when we get together, we start talking about food costs and all this kind of stuff. And the chef there was bragging to a lot of people that he buys tilapia and serves it as snapper, as red snapper. And he's like, yeah, I buy tilapia, it's so cheap, $2 a pound for the fillets, and I just, sell it as, we say it's red snapper. And I was like, what? Are you serious? You're like, not only are you doing it, but you're openly telling everybody. And all these other chefs, I'm like, who are you? What are you doing? I mean, this is like, I can't believe you're doing this. And the time I didn't have this website, I wasn't on this mission at the time, so I was like, well, I guess I'm just never going to eat there, and I just never said anything to anybody. But and I'm not saying that restaurant's like that now, or that was the actual policy of the management of that restaurant, but that's what the chef was doing. What happens a lot of times, chefs get bonuses, not saying that they did this, but a lot of times the chefs get bonuses based upon labor costs, based upon food costs. So let's say they have a base salary, and if they get the restaurant management team says, if you get your food costs lower than 30% or 25%, which basically food costs is, when I say 25%, that means for every dollar that a consumer gives the restaurant actually put 25 cents to cover that dollar cost of food. So it's called food cost, your cost of goods sold. If you're an accountant or if you're a chef or you're in the retail business, this term might be, a very simple term. And if you're not, that's what that means, cost of goods sold. If I'm giving the restaurant $1, they paid 25 cents for that product. Now that's a typical average food cost in the restaurant industry, anywhere between 20% up to 30%. That's an average cost. So if a chef gets paid a bonus for meeting his food costs, then of course he's going to cut corners. And what better of a way than to avoid spending $8 a pound on snapper and spend $2 a pound, but still charge the snapper price, the red snapper price? Duh, it's a no-brainer. Now here's part of the problem. As a consumer, you have no idea, when you look at a white piece of flesh with no skin, no head, you have no idea. It's lost all identity, okay? You walk into a grocery store, a fish store, no idea if you're looking at a white piece of fish. It's hard to tell. It happens a lot. It happens more often than you actually think this happens. And this was just one restaurant years ago. I'm not saying that they still do that. By no means am I downgrading that particular restaurant. This is a situation that is very common. It's extremely common. And, as consumers, you need to ask tons and tons of questions. And if they can't answer the questions, then, so at this particular restaurant, what you could have asked was, is red snapper in season right now? Because Florida U.S. red snapper only has a certain amount of days each month that it's in season. Gulf snapper, which is a broader term, it comes from Mexico, can be fished more than the majority of the year. That's why the stock is depleted, and our system is more managed. Not saying that it's a sustainable catch to begin with, but we have more stricter quotas typically than all the fish that we do. So you could have simply asked, well, is it season for it? Where was it caught? How was it caught? Tell me more information. Of course, if he's serving tilapia, he has no idea. Now that you have the iPhone app, go to fishchoice.com or Monterey Bay Aquarium, look up where the fish is from and what's in season and what's going on, and there you go. These are the questions. This is what I want to know. And show the waiter, show the waitress, is this the fish you're serving? I really want to make sure I understand what I'm eating tonight. And then say, I'm very concerned about mislabeling, or say I'm very concerned about sustainability, and I want to make sure I know what I'm eating. It's your right. You have every right to know. I'm Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission, chefonamission.com and truthinmenu.com. You have every right to know what you eat.